आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुः श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तु अनिराकरणं मेस्तु तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May all my limbs attain strength. May the body, the mind, all the sensory and motor organs and the life force become powerful and efficient. All is verily the one without second, ever blissful, ever conscious, existence itself. Let me never deny this truth of oneness of existence. May this truth never reject me either. I am aware that the realization or experience of this truth requires many virtues to be acquired. These virtues are spoken of by the scriptures. May these virtues be with me who am yearning for the realization of this truth. Om, peace, peace, peace. Let us feel this truth of oneness by going beyond our shapes. Let us feel that I am an ice cube. Each of us is like an ice cube in the warm weather, kept in a big heap of ice cubes. As one of these ice cubes, I feel I am different from others. I like some, I dislike some. I form connections, relationships with some of them, many of them, in different ways. I consider some to be my parents, some to be my friends, some to be my countrymen, some are my business relations, some are inimical to me, my relation with them is that of enemies. I am holding on to these connections. I am this, and these are all mine. As the temperature is rising, the ice cubes are melting. I am melting. My shape is going away. And I am feeling this oneness with others. The differences I see were only in shapes, shapes and sizes. As substance, as the lasting reality, there is only one. I am that. This truth is the abode of all knowledge, all bliss, all love. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Where is the clicker? Thank you. So, dear friends, let us begin this today's class 95th on this great scripture with our usual chanting. This opening chant is actually the first verse of this great treatise. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditarata shartheshvabhinyasvarat tene brahmhridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo varimridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi. That from whom creation, sustenance and dissolution of the universe take place, who is both the instrumental and material cause of it, who is omniscient, is the only one having self-mastery, being the one independent entity, who illumined the mind of Brahma with the Vedic revelation, whose wisdom is the wonder of even the greatest sages, in whom the world of three gunas subsist, just as the combination of materials like fire, water and earth subsist in their causes without changing their elemental nature, in whose consciousness there is nothing false. On that truth supreme we meditate. So this is the topic for all scriptures, to meditate on the truth, so that our life goes along with how the truth is. Otherwise, the truth is one and our life is going on in other direction. And thus we miss the real, we miss the true happiness in life. So we have to turn our life, change our lifestyle in such a way that it matches the truth. All scriptures describe it in their own way. The Hindu system of scriptures is a three-tier system. Means there is the philosophical text like Upanishads. They are completely impersonal and tell the truth in very few words. There is less elaboration. Then there is the other tier where there is the code of conduct, like famous code of Manu, where people don't have much time to know the philosophy, but they still want to lead a religious life. So they ask the question, what should I do? When should I get up? How should I start my day-to-day living? What festivals should I observe? What worship should I do? How do I get married? How do I get the children? How do I rear them up? And so forth. All this code of conduct is given. That is what most people want. Like most people want how to drive the car, how to run the car. They want not the theory of how the car is manufactured, the engine, heat engine systems and all. All they need is, well, an operating manual so that they know when to change the oil, what part when it is not functional, how to replace it, where to get it, and the day-to-day that operation of the car, that is all that they need. So similarly these Smriti texts are like that. And then there is the third tier, that the truths which are in the Upanishad presented in a philosophical style. Now those truths are presented uh, in a story form. Through the stories, when they are given, they become palatable and acceptable to the common people who don't have the philosophical bent of mind. Stories everybody likes, so they give it in stories. It is like made a capsule, bitter medication, but then coated with that sugar. So, or some such substance, and then you take that through this capsule of story. The truth is given in this way. So, this is the Bhagavatam is of this third type. There are stories, lots of stories, and very interesting these stories which create a lot of uh, that desire to keep on reading. As you take up a story book like say Harry Potter, I'm giving a very famous example. So people get so absorbed in that. It is they don't want to put down the book. Give them a philosophy treatise, and then they first of all will not be desired to open it. If they are forced to open, many will have to be to make them read that philosophical treatise, putting gun to their head, otherwise they are not going to read that. And then also they will find it so boring, and they will stop reading after a time. So this is how these texts are. It is um, so we will have this Bhagavatam text, and we were studying last time this the discussion of Narada, sage Narada. He is advising the king Prachin Barhishi that all that you have been wasting your life in running after sensual pleasures, and for that aggrandizement of that you are doing lot of sacrifices, killing many animals in the process, and thinking that you are doing great. But see, what is the result of this? So he narrated the great story of Puranjana, a very allegorical tale where a person's life is shown identified with body. Our body is like a city, but if we are living in a city, that is okay, but we get identified with it. I become the body, and thus it kind of dictates us. It kills all the happiness in life. We are gradually more and more getting burdened with lot of worries and anxieties, and no end to the problems, as we saw in this story of Puranjana, that there are desires and desires and desires, and every time you go to fulfill a desire, what happens? The object of the desire goes away. You did not, you end up in not getting anything that you wanted, but the desire keeps on increasing. So that is how the suffering is. In this life, Swami Vivekananda tells about this Greek mythology of Tantalus hell. This Tantalus had done many bad things, so he was pushed in a hell. And that hell was very funny. He was not being burned or barbecued as the descriptions of the hell are. That nothing was done to him. He was just in the lot of water was there. He was in the water, and he was given lot of hunger and thirst. Now thirst is there, water is right there. He would slowly dip down so that the water would come just up to the lips. Let me quench my thirst. The water would recede. He would not get a drop of water. Thirst is there. Water is there. You don't get. There were lot of fruits hanging just near. The fruits would just come down to his mouth, would go again up, would not get anything to eat. So that is our life here. Getting identified with body, we keep on waiting that, well, tomorrow will bring all happiness. And let me pass my high school exam, then I become 18. I saw many kids like that. Right now I am a minor under the thumb of my parents, let me become 18, and then ah, all joy will be there. Mm. That 18 becomes, gradually you say, let me have this degree, college degree, let me have a great good job, paying job, then I will be really happy. Well, nothing happens, let me have a spouse, then I will become happy. Nothing happens, it is, if that is going to make a person happy, almost everybody, 99.9% people would have been really happy. But that doesn't bring happiness. So that is how we go from suffering to suffering. That is the story of Puranjana. And then with death, the body dies. The suffering doesn't end. You have to take another body. You are forced to take another body. That is called samsara. That this body falls off, becomes old, but the desires don't go. And so those desires make you take another body and keep on working through that body. It is, the torture is kind of never ending. It is, the life imprisonment ends when your life goes away, means you die. But this imprisonment continues till the knowledge dawns that I am not body. That knowledge has to dawn, and then this is, one question keeps on getting asked, that how do we not see somebody going from one body to another body? Change of the body. The gross body won't know that. It is the subtle body gets changed to a new body, and the gross body has no instruments to see that. It can see only gross things, not the subtle things. It is a software getting changed. Like I gave the example that when you change your phone, the old phone now it is not getting charged, the new updates are not getting loaded on that phone. It says that you have to change now the hardware to a new one. So you buy another phone, and then you take all those your contacts and pictures and files, everything from the old phone to the new phone. And you do not see that information going from this to this. Long back, one engineer, that was the first time that I was coming in contact with something like computer, and I had heard these words only, that there is hardware and there is software. And by hardware I only understood all that building material that you buy, the screws and the nails, and that was, you go to the hardware store for that. So that was the idea of hardware. And software, I had no clue what it means. So the engineer who had come to install it, it is in 1991, in our office there. I asked him, what is this? Actually a lady was there. So she told, software and hardware. Hardware is something that you can see, you can touch, and means all these sense organs can feel that, can sense that. And software is something that you don't see, something you cannot hear, something you cannot touch. But it is that which powers the hardware, which makes the hardware functional. So, I remember those sentences in a few words. She nicely explained that yes, that is the software. So, this hardware gets old, the software is still there, the information, the data and everything is still there. That gets transferred to the new body, and so therefore it doesn't get known by the this old body that it is getting transferred. In Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, Lord Krishna says that it can be seen by a person with an evolved level of knowledge. That person will be able to see Pashyanti Jnana Chakshushaha, that those who have these eyes of knowledge, they will be able to see that. So, in Kathopanishad also you get the similar idea that one who has this evolved awareness, that person will be able to see that, notice that. So, we saw that because we are so attached to this world, and we want to hold on to this all the time, it is, and we get bound by our own holding on to it. Nobody else can really help us, and we have to give up the hold. So, whenever we say, and one has to be therefore very, very cautious that this is mine. We say this body is mine, this shirt is mine, this is mine. Means that is mine in the sense it is my bondage. The more things belong to you, you have more bondage. It is not your freedom. It is any object that you think is yours, that becomes your bondage. So, therefore, Sri Ramakrishna used to be very particular that this I and mine is ignorance. Lord, thou alone art, that is knowledge. It is I and mine is ignorance. So it is, and when we hold on to that, we get dragged, say, behind the truck. There is a rope. Imagine what condition that holder of the rope would be in. Our condition is very similar. We are dragged in this world. And freedom is very easy actually. Give up thy hold, sannyasin bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. That is the way to become liberated. Give up thy hold. So, and we discussed last time some questions. And in this now some of the answers are provided. This subtle body, it is the cause of all our joys, sorrows, fears, all sorts of sufferings or enjoyments. They are in this due to this subtle body. This subtle body is in all this. That is, if you see, it is even in the simple experience one can relate to this, that one says, that it is the body is fine, but like one of our members was telling me the other day that I hurt her feelings. Means what did I hurt? The body was not hurt. Some words that were said were, now what got hurt? This feelings, that is the mind or the subtle body, it got hurt. There is all this joy is also there. The feeling of sadness is also there. The despondency is also there. Getting upset is also there, and getting enthusiastic is also there. All that is in this subtle body. So this is how we are, and then all emotions, everything is there. There is without subtle body, it is not going to be there at all. These are the qualities, the expressions of this subtle body. The gross body can be seen by the gross eyes. And so when this happens, if a certain person is say depressed, now you don't see the depression per se in that person, but the body shows some signs of it. The face would be downcast. If you say something, will get an irritated reply. There won't be any enthusiasm. I don't want to do anything. I have no interest. That's it. So you see the signs on the body. But where is that depression feeling? That is in the subtle body. That gets expressed in the hardware, like whatever is in the software gets expressed in the hardware. So these are all things and within this subtle body. It consists of the same materials at the subtle level. The gross body is constituted by 5 gross combined elements. It is called a combined elements that make the gross body. They are impure because these 5 elements at the gross level, it is only 50%, the half of that one element is that, and 1/8 of each of the remaining 4 make up for the other half. Like the space, in Sanskrit terminology it is called Akasha. The space element at the gross level, it is 50% space material, and then remaining 12.5% each of this air, then fire, then water and the earth. These make up for the other 50%. So is with each element. But the subtle body is made of the pure elements. There is no mix up there. So they are subtle elements. Where to see this, the example is given where you can get a glimpse of it. That is when you are in your dream body. The dream body is made of these pure elements, and therefore the dream experience, dream world is also made of these same subtle elements. So that is how this constitution of this subtle body is. It says now, a question was asked, and it gets asked many times, that when one leaves this body and goes to the next body, how much is the lag between that, the time lag? How long does it take, that one body is there and then this body dies and then the new body is acquired. Between that, how much time lag is there? Yes, Paul, what are you saying? 0. Actually, it is negative. You are right. That it is before you give up this new body, this old body, you acquire the new body already. It is just as when you go to a new house. Not that you first give up the old house and then later on after some days go to the new house. In that case you will have to be on street. What you do is, what did you do, Abhishek, when you changed your apartment? First book that new apartment, then gradually shifted your things from the old home to the new home, and then said bye bye to the old home. So this body also is like that. You first acquire the new one. Mm. According to your likes, dislikes, the whatever things you want in that new house, accordingly you choose the house, and you also see that it is not too pricey. It should be affordable for me. And it is, yeah, you may like to have a Smithsonian like house to live in, but your purse will not be able to permit that. So you have to see that within this time, sometimes that doesn't match. It is our desires are so many about the house, it should be like this. When we were thinking of, what we will like to have in our new audio visual setup. So everything we were listing there. Okay, this should be okay. This is good to have. That also is good to have. That also is good to have, and all that. And then when the list, when the cost was added up and all that, it became 4 times our budget. So we no, and we don't need so much. So similarly, when you acquire a new body, you take up a new body according to what you want, but there is that ceiling is put by how much you can spend. So it is the process is described here, in Bhagavatam here, just as, and I am quoting, just as a caterpillar moving from one blade of grass to another does not release the first blade until it has got hold of another. The jiva, or the individual soul of dying man, holds on to his identification with the old body until now it is said he, but there is no gender. Gender is limited to the body, and there is no gender for this subtle body. So until that time he gains a new one to identify with. Yes. So after some time Abhishek identifies with that new apartment. The old, no, that is not the apartment that I live now. It was. Everything has been shifted. Now somebody else is living there. It is. So that is what happens, that this gross body is given up, another is taken up. So and like this, when somebody is climbing, you can see first grabs the next this thing to climb, and then gives up the hold of the feet to and then keeps on climbing like that. If everything is left, then the fellow will just fall down. So that is how the process is described. Very interesting. So there are of course many other questions arise, but this is the way it happens. And so the point to be noted here, that this cycle thus goes on and on and on, never ending. Never, the liberation doesn't come in this way. We can keep on working, thinking that one day doing like this, the liberation will come. It does not come like that. Because it will be one body to the other, then that to the other. It is a never ending thing. We have to remember this, that there is no end to this process at all, unless the knowledge comes, and this knowledge comes through this devotion. So you can see that we go through this cycle. Birth, like this is called samsara. That word in Sanskrit is so significant, very difficult to exactly translate it into English. So these days many writers keep it just in the English also, samsara. There has been an advocacy in American universities now. Many professors of Indian philosophy and religion, and they say, well, now high time to use the Sanskrit terms rather than translating somehow in them in English, which do not really convey the intended meaning. So therefore already many words have become common in English, like karma. The connotation of this word karma is not conveyed by any other English word, and therefore that word is retained as it is. So dharma is another word that is just retained in the Sanskrit form. So this word samsara, Swami Vivekananda at that time had to translate these, and even he also used many times the Sanskrit words. He used the word like this transmigratory existence of the individual soul, that is samsara. The word is significant because it comes from the root sar, means it keeps on moving. It keeps on moving. Samyak sarati iti samsaraha. That it never ends, keeps on moving all the time. Like a man was, was asking that he wanted to meet one gentleman, and then the gentleman did not want to meet him. But how to say no? So he pointed out to that road, I will meet you at the end of that road. And this fellow said, okay. And then kept on going on the bicycle on that road. It was a circular road, so never ends, It was going, so like that we will be just moving on this without any freedom. And our actions will keep on propelling us on that road, feeling, now I will have all that I was thinking of getting in my life. There is this Swami Vivekananda has used this analogy, this example, that a bull that is tied, in America they used to use horses for that, in India bulls. So a horse or bull, when it is tied to an oil churning mill, so the horse has to go forward for that. Now what is done is, on the head of that horse, a stick is put like that, and some grass is kept hanging from that stick right in front of the horse. Now horse thinks that, well, I have to just go one step and I will get that grass. And it goes on and on. The poor horse, at least it is an animal, not much intelligence, but we human beings are no different at all. Tomorrow I will get happiness. Let me become. First they think that let me get a job, then I will be happy. And then nothing happens. Let me get retired, then I will have a lot of time and then I will become happy. What is this? It is, the things keep on going. And next birth, this body, that body. Because this one body cannot really have the mechanism to fulfill all desires. The desires are there, so they make you take another body. So it goes on like that, birth, death, again and again, as Shankaracharya puts it in that Bhaja Govindam hymn, that it is Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Janani Jathare Shayanam. इह संसारे खलु दुस्तारे कृपया पारे पाहि मुरारे भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम भज गोविंदम मूढ़मते. Oh, dull-headed fellow, it is, see, that again and again there is birth, again death, again birth. So it is impossible, bahu dustare. So only kripaya pare pahi murare. Please protect me and take me across this. Oh, one of the name of Lord Krishna is Murari. Oh Murari, please take me across this. Bhaja Govindam. पुनरपि रजनी पुनरपि दिवसः पुनरपि पक्षः पुनरपि मासः. Do we not see we are on this kind of a cyclic road and trying to see where it ends? Same thing happening again and again. Every day we see the sun rising, setting, again rising. Again. We said, okay, 2020 gone, 2021 came, 2021 went, 2022 goes on and on. The months follow months, years follow years. There is no escape from this. That is the nature of this samsara. So there must be a determined effort to come out of it. And that is to turn our attention to God. That is called bhakti. And then that brings what is called moksha. The liberation comes as a result of this. As a result, in a figurative way, I am telling, it is, we are free, but in ignorance think that we are bound. So when we look at our true nature, hold on to that. That is called bhakti. Somehow there is a funny mistaken feeling among so many devotees that it is the bhakti is different from knowledge. Sri Ramakrishna has repeatedly told that the paths are somewhat different, but they reach to that the same conclusion, that pure knowledge, in his words, Shuddha Jnana, Shuddha Bhakti, both are same, that it is pure knowledge and pure devotion, they are same. And even in the path, if you are following the path of knowledge, there is some devotion associated in it. If you are following the path of devotion, there is some aspect of knowledge contained in it. So, they are not different. And then what we see as we follow that, this oneness. Like the meditation we were doing, that this ice cube, I am this ice cube. And it is a different thing, different other ice cube. This ice cube is my friend, that ice cube is my enemy. What? It is actually the same thing. It is this I, this ego has to vanish. And that is done through our love turning towards God. That is called devotion. Love, instead of scattering it to I and mine, and thus getting more and more into bondage, we have to turn it towards the truth, towards the God, so that now it becomes liberating something. Otherwise, it is that love for my this and my that. Firstly, it is not love. It gets it is a misnomer. There is no love actually there. It is some arrangement comfortable and convenient for the mutual party. It is like a business contract, or it is attachment. So that gets called love. Real love can be only for God, and God alone can give real love also. It is, one should read Swami Vivekananda's that book Bhakti Yoga. So when the love is turned to that, then it becomes a liberating thing in life, and we realize this truth. It is that is the moksha. There is no bondage anymore. The bondage was only because I am this ice cube, and that is different from me. That ignorance was perpetuating this bondage. When you see that it is not different at all, then there is no difference between this person and the chair this person is sitting on, and the book this is being held, or the star that is being seen. That is how the Upanishadic sages in Taittiriya Upanishad, you hear this great statement, and that Sayaschayam Purushe Yascha Sauaditye Sa Ekaha, the being here, that I feel the being here is same as the being in all this solar system, in sun. The sun and I, they are really not different. Like a big ice cube and a little ice cube. Are they different? Only in appearance. So, this knowledge brings the liberation. Now tell me, where is the bondage? Even the biggest bondage, that is called bondage of time and space, bondage of here and now, that everything, all our actions, they move in time and space, that disappears. Because time and space, it is directly the product of seeing multiplicity. Swami Vivekananda has explained it so well in Jnana Yoga. It was an eye-opener for me to read that it is the awareness of multiplicity that generates time and space. That it is, for example, how do I see space? I see space only when I see two. Between that there is the space. There is otherwise no space. We used to do in our physics class on optics, that it is how the light, and so the objects are two or one, whether the image is real or not real. If it is a true image, then there should be, you will always see one. If they are different, distinct, then if you move here, you will see the space between them. In oneness, there is no space. And in multiplicity, when you see multiplicity, there is space. So, and this multiplicity being unreal, it is not stable. It changes. And change is the name of time. It is then and now. That is the meaning of change. So, without multiplicity, there is no time and space. That the biggest bondage is gone in that awareness of one. See the efficacy of this knowledge. It just removes this illusion of time and space completely. What to speak of other bondages, which are very, very secondary, tertiary. So, that is liberation, and no time is left. That is actually one Buddhist monk was talking in our interfaith gathering. He said that people glibly talk about living in the moment, a very catchphrase these days. Let us live in the moment. But really, the meaning of this term in the Buddhist scripture means that the time is gone. That is, the whole time is as it were condensed in now. It is in now. The past, present, and future, present, all that is gone. This and it is condensed in one instant, as it were, infinite instant. So that is how the concentration makes you lose the sense of time. Even in the relative world, we see that when you are watching, for example, if you are, say, a fan of football, then those, watching Super Bowl, and now hours pass, it is you are sitting in a cramped, chair. Somehow there is not much room, and such a big crowd there, and you have no sense of time. You are cheering, getting up, he is at shouting, and so forth. 5, 6 hours just elapse. Oh, time is gone. So much time is gone. Listen to Yogatmananda's lecture. Every 5 minutes, Charlie says, "Oh, he's talking too much." So it is the time travels very slowly. So when you have the concentration, then there is no time. When there is no concentration, the time, as it were, never moves. So this is through bhakti, when these distinctions are all dissolved in God, you see God alone. And thus, that is liberation or moksha. So, this is what happens as one progresses. It is just actions will never be able to bring it. Many harbor under this illusion that, oh, I am a karma yogi. Again, this word is not correctly used at all. Karma yogi means not the one who is engaged in action. Then everybody is engaged in action, everybody can be called karma yogi. No, that is not yoga of action. Yoga of action is when these actions are performed in such a way that they become tools for liberation instead of tool for bondage. The whole system of action is then reversed to make it, the force to liberate you. But action in itself doesn't liberate. It generates, the knowledge in you or devotion in you. In Swami Vivekananda's Karma Yoga, it has been repeatedly said that the actions can never bring liberation. Actions, as we see in this, it will keep on perpetuating bondage. That's all. That is the nature of action. One of our Swamis, he was vice president of the order, very highly respected Swami. So he was talking, that monk used to tell this to whom he was speaking about it, that that don't think that you can go on doing the karma actions and you will get liberated. No, you have to transcend the actions. So he used to give the example, the Ganges, the talk was going on in Belur Math, where there is a very broad basin of Ganges river. So he said at Gomukha, where this Ganges begins. So it is the starting point, and the stream of Ganges is very narrow. You can just cross by a jump, and that to a child's jump is good enough. So it is such a narrow stream there. But you are attached to this, that no, now I don't want to cross. Let me go along, and then sometime I will cross it. Without your knowing, the Ganges goes on widening and widening and widening. You go on walking along the Ganges, thinking that you will cross later. Now it becomes now a sea. Now how can you cross over? It has become sea. So that is how our actions go on multiplying, multiplying, and we get more and more entangled, more and more attached. So that is how this process is described here. So we are at this only devotion is therefore described as the panacea. This dialogue here with Prachin Barishi Narada therefore described everything and told that, okay, this narrative, he says, O sinless one, whoever hears or reads this spiritual allegory narrated by Narada, the divine sage, will gain freedom from the hold of this linga sharira, this subtle body. This narrative, which sanctifies all the worlds by the excellences of the Lord, with which it deals, which has been narrated by Narada, which is capable of purifying the mind. So that is the efficacy of this narrative. Prachin Barishi, this king, hears this, and therefore immediately he says, that is, I was wrong. He goes to a forest gives up everything. Going to the forest means the mind is now kept with God. The real purpose of life, that dedication is kept there, and thus he attains to the moksha, the liberation. Now, from next class, we will. This was an interlude, really. We were discussing the tale of these prachetas, and so these prachetas, they were meditating around a lake, and then there suddenly this episode came, the story of Puranjana. So now that is done, and we will now from next class go to this beautiful story of prachetas, what happened to them and so forth. So yes, one announcement: next on coming Sunday there is the lecture will be given by Pravrajika Krishna Prana, a very special lecture. She is from the Vedanta convent of Santa Barbara. She will be speaking on that evening, and after that there will be a sitar concert. So you are welcome to attend that, and you already know about the day-long retreat on June 18th. So let us conclude with the closing chant, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask after that. Nigam निगमकल्पतरुर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुर्मुहुः रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. O devotees, quaff, quaff to intoxication this nectar of the fruit of the tree of Vedas, flowing from the mouth of the great sage Shuka and mixed with the ambrosia from his words. Any questions? Oh, Naomi has a question. She rarely has questions. Okay. So, Abhishek, wait. First, let her ask. Ladies first, you know. Hold it like this.
There's a common phrase where they say people are channeling a certain individual. They take on their mannerisms and their attributes. Where does that come from? And last Sunday you spoke of people being born and not really being born of these two people. But my own experience is that sometimes I take on the mannerisms of my father, sometimes I take on the mannerisms of my mother. Where do those things come from?
Oh, that is a good question, you know, that it is, we get the features from our parents and so forth. Where do they come from? They come from genetic transmission, and they are physical features. They are confined to the gross body. The subtle body is not gotten from the parents or anybody else. It is, and also the parents are chosen by you. No parents actually give birth to you, to anybody. The children are not born of the parents. It is the children who choose the parents. That is how this idea is. Like Abhishek chose what apartment he should go to live according to. And so similarly this jiva, the individual being looking for the body, sees where this proper body can be gotten and thus chooses the parents. So that is how those parental characteristics, like you go to the new home, instead of Warwick you come to the Cranston home. Now you chose that home. Now you will get known by that home. The one who was known as living in that place in Warwick now gets known as living in Cranston. So similarly, you have the features of a mother or father because that is chosen. There is this story in Bhagavatam we read long ago, of course. That story came here, that to show this reality, that one king who had no issue and so was praying for the issue. This same sage Narada came. So he said, Narada, please, at least the kingdom should have a heir. And so it is, Narada told, well, you don't have really in your destiny, there is no child. But I want, well, you see, if the child is born, the child will be, let me tell you, it's very short-lived. And you will get lot of agony because of that. The king said, well, I want it. And now, to make the long story short, the child was born, everybody was happy, and then the child died in a few months. And everybody was besides terrible sorrow and all. Then this sage came to console him that, look, it is like this. And the mother was besides herself. She said, oh, can I get a little glimpse of how my child is in the other world? Can I get a little glimpse? And then by his very special powers, Narada said, okay, look, here he is. And they could see their little boy in their vision. But they were terribly surprised. The boy was not showing any recognition. The mother was saying, oh, please, please call me. Oh, mother, oh, mom, I am your mom. Are you not able to see this? Then the child showed no interest. After a little while he started telling, when he saw the wailing of the parents, that you see, when I was in that body, I had been attached to you, like you are my dad, you are my mom. Now I see, I had millions of times, I had different parents in different bodies. I myself had become father, mother of so many things. I now don't understand whom to call my father, whom to call my mother. Do you get it? It is only because we are identified with one body. Then this is my mother, this is my father. Like you are paying rent now, knowing that this is the owner of my apartment. When you change the apartment, maybe the owner also will change. You will have a different owner to pay rent to. So it is like that. The body is only of this particular birth. Our connection with parents also is only of that type. It is a very illuminating tale that I think about a year ago or so we read that story in the Bhagavatam. Anyway, you have another question?
So I'm just trying to discern these three, the body, the subtle body, and the consciousness. So the closest I can come is continuing your example, that the computer is the body, the software is the subtle body, in which case the consciousness must be the electricity which is powering both
Could be, or the user of it. The computer, after all, electricity, software, hardware are there for somebody's use, isn't it? That user is the consciousness. They did not, the software didn't, and the hardware and the electricity, they did not on their own came together. They came together because somebody assembled it for the use of somebody. So that somebody is the conscious entity in that, who is using this machine of software and hardware.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the subtle body, you said, is made of the pure elements. So I want to know what those pure elements are, and if consciousness also is then made of some other pure elements?
No, consciousness is not made of anything. Made of, let alone this material or that material. Consciousness is the existence itself. It is not made. Consciousness never gets created. Everything else proceeds as in creation. Consciousness is. It is isness. Yeah. Oh, you have a question?
I was wanted to know more about. You said that the subtle body acquires a new body before it leaves the old body.
Yeah.
Is it possible that there's what about sometimes are there not subtle bodies with no body?
Yeah, that happens. Suppose in that example, the caterpillar trying to catch another leaf falls down. It happens. So now it doesn't have any leaf to hold on to. So there are cases. They are comparatively few and far between. We were discussing about that a couple of classes ago, that when somebody has to, die suddenly. Like somebody didn't get a chance to first get a house before leaving this, because a lightning came and struck that house. Now what is to be done? For some time it has to be on the street, make some arrangements here, here and there. That is called the ghosts, the spirits without having a permanent body. Therefore they possess this person's body, that person's body, and like that. So that is that existence is there, yes. Yeah. Okay, Paul.
Swami, what about the first time that you engage upon the circular path? The very first time somebody enters the circular path.
Oh well, that is I don't have answer. Nobody has answer for that when it first began. And the first thing questions, they are not in the realm of logic, because logic itself came later. So therefore first how it happened, the first cause. In philosophy there is no answer to this question. Neither in philosophy nor in science. That first cause is always not unknown. It is unknown, it is not known. And so when you get knowledge, not that you get the answer to it, the question dissolves. There is no question left. It is the example given is like this, that suppose you are seeing a snake, and then how did this snake come here? Is this snake poisonous or not poisonous? You go close and see that it is rope. Now did you get the answer to your question, did you get the answer the snake is poisonous or not poisonous? The question itself disappears. That is what happens, yeah. So, any question on the web?
Yes, there are 3 web questions.
Oh my goodness, today I thought there will be no questions at all today. Okay, quick, yeah.
First question is from Tarashwin.
From?
Tarashwin.
Okay.
Pranam.
Tarashwin, yes, please.
Moksha being so difficult, too invincible, rare and inexplainable, how does the illumined Guru help us in securing it for ordinary folks like us?
Well, firstly, although it is thought to be very difficult, it is actually the easiest thing. It is the easiest thing, moksha, if we go in the right way. The problem is we are attached to the wrong way. And now, for example, how much is the distance between, say, this tablet, this small computer here, and me? How much is the distance? Maybe hardly 1 foot. But suppose my face is turned in the other direction, opposite, then the distance it is so difficult, 25,000 miles. So that is how it appears difficult, It is just change the direction. See, we call it difficult, we do far more difficult things in life. Even to get a simple high school exam passed, we have to put in how many, 12 years plus that kindergarten and whatever. So many years we have to put in just to pass that simple silly high school exam. We do so much work for that. Comparatively here you don't have to do so much work, much less work. So Guru guides us. Holding on to Guru, the path becomes very, very simple. That is how the job of the Guru is. Guru, hold on to Guru and things become easy. Like when you are driving with GPS to guide you, things become easy. It keeps on telling turn left, turn right, like that. It is very easy. So having Guru makes things easy. More than that, it is therefore GPS, Guru Positioning System. It makes things very convenient in spiritual life. No doubt about that. Yeah.
Second question is from Shyamalesh Chaudhary.
Yes.
Maharaj, what happens to the subtle body when a person attains moksha
There
or
is,
gets liberated?
yeah, no subtle body is left then. Subtle body also meets its death. Yeah, there is nothing left. Yeah.
Okay. Third question is from Manish. Pranam Swamiji.
Pranam.
Can you comment on the effect of one's karma on the future birth, meaning next body, parents, environment, etc.?
Yes, it is all determined by karma. Karma and desires, they determine the next birth. So it is like when you say buy a new house, change the house, go to say from say New York to Philadelphia, then it is you have to pay for that. And then similarly, when you buy a new house, a new body, you have to pay for that. And that payment there, you cannot pay in dollars, it is paid in karma currency. There is the karma currency idea. Means when you do some good thing, you accumulate good merit, good karma. When you do something bad, it is depleted. So it is bad. It is like in this world, when you do work for somebody, that fellow pays you. So work for others, that earns karma currency. When you do it for yourself, say you are cutting your own hair, nobody is coming to pay you. If you open a barber shop and do the cutting, that hairdressing for others, they are going to come and pay you for that. So similarly, when you do help others, serve others, then you have your karma cash gets augmented. Otherwise it gets depleted. So that is how when you want a new body, you want this kind of body, but do you have money to pay for it? If you do good work, then it gets paid. Sometime one for some fundraising was going on for some big construction, and some big project was there. So this was given as example that you cannot take your money to when you die, it is to be left here. Actually that is not true. You can take it with you, but you have to convert it properly. Means what? Just as suppose from US you want to go to some other country, say in Europe. Now you cannot spend in dollars, you have to convert your dollars into euros. So that conversion is there. So when you are dying, you can take your currency, you have to convert it into karma currency. You do some good work, and then there mentions, donate to this project, for example, and thus that will get converted into your karma currency, which you will be able to take with you. So that is how it happens, Manish. So let us conclude with the closing chant.
There are 2 additional questions.
Oh my goodness, there is no time now.
Okay.
It is already 8:51. Next time, next
Yes.
Friday.
Yes.
Yes, you can tell me, we will begin next Friday class with those.
Okay.
Thank you, friends. Thank you for all the questions. मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल, हरि हरि बोल। कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल, कृष्ण कृष्ण बोल। मुकुंद माधव गोविंद बोल, केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल। केशव माधव हरि हरि बोल।